Hello and welcome back to The Great Cricketer. Good morning to you. It is once again the end of the Asian century. This video, as they all are, brought to you by ACO, India's leading digital insurance company. England find themselves 423 for 8. This game is over. My name is Ian Higgins. Sam Perry sits across the land from me. Morning, Pezzy lad.
Hey, morning, Higgos. Wow, what a procession.
Pez, I'll tell you what the Indians are saying in grey terms.
Please.
First of all, they'd be going, pff, pff. Pitch was fucked. Flat for them.
Yeah.
It's just not fair, is it? I thought the Headingley was supposed to be like when it was sunny. That's when you have a bat. But wasn't sunny yesterday, especially in the morning. Overcast as fuck. And England got through it okay.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to talk about this later. I've come to the conclusion that there's sort of some astronomical influences going on here, and I want to explain that later. So I'm just going to say that as a bit of a tease for those who are going to click off. Well, those who are going to click off because of the scores, and a lot of people did point that out yesterday, that the view counts really do seem to change. But that's the world we live in, isn't it? You know, we consume the media that reflects what we want to hear. Exactly the same. When it comes to Manchester United, and I don't follow transfer activity anymore after their revelations.
Because I know one thing for sure about me and my habits are that when my team's getting pumped, I just breathe it all in, try and soak it all in because I like pain. Pez, now the first thing I want to speak about today, it's the big boy. It's the biggest of big boys right now, apart from Kane, number 1 in the world. But number 2 in the world, Joe Root. Joe Root is in record-breaking areas. Now, Pez, if I may, can I give you some stats, as this is the stats show?
This is what we do. When someone's in record-breaking areas, it becomes a stat-a-thon, so please.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, a guy's doing well. Give me the exact numbers that he's doing. Okay, this is his 600 this year. Everyone already knows that. Only 15 guys have ever done that. Only 4 have ever hit 7. Aravinda de Silva, Viv Richards, Ponting and Tendulkar. And the most ever is Muhammad Yusuf, who hit 9. Hit 9 in 1 year. So he's got 5 more tests this year, Joe Root, to get to 7 or maybe even 9. It's his 23rd Test 100. That's equal with Kevin Peterson. He's 10 away from Alistair Cook. Sir Alistair Cook. 1,398 runs this year. The record is, again, Muhammad Yusuf, who hits 1,788. That's 390 more runs for Joe Root. Root himself already has 1,477 runs in 1 calendar year. That was in 2016. And the most by an Englishman is 1,481 by Michael Vaughan. So all of these records all of a sudden come into play. If he wants to break Muhammad Yusuf's record, he's going to have to do something fucking incredible. But this is career best form for a guy who's already got fucking, 2,200s before today. But this is incredible. This is history we're watching.
Yeah, and this latest 100 was just easy and breezy as well. Beautiful cover girl. And that's what... Beautiful cover drive, actually. Mm-hmm. I didn't... Yeah, it just reminds me of that summer that Ponting had in 2003. He scored 2,600 runs in the calendar year or some shit, including ODIs at 66. Just unstoppable. We're halfway through the series, and Joe Root's... Has he top scored in every single innings for England?
Yes.
Like, how are we meant to find superlatives for the rest of the series? Like, all we can do is bathe in his statistics like Billy Madison does in the pool, blowing water out of his mouth. Like, thankfully, he'll only bat once here. I mean, everyone wants to praise Root, which they should, but I think he threw away the daddy he didn't need last night. That's how good England are doing in this game. The Root was set for a daddy double, and then he realised he didn't need it. And also, Bumrah bowled an absolute seed to him.
There's that as well, which can happen.
Out of nowhere. And I think this time, mate, he was supported for the first time. Haseeb Hameed with 68, a beautiful little lamb with beautiful locks and making tentative steps in Test cricket. And then Milan with a very dignified 70 runs. I know he was upset when he got out, got away with a square drive there, but I just imagine the approval of Joe Root and Jimmy Anderson at those runs. Those two guys have just been watching failure after failure with the top three, just going any fucking danger, boys. And then the old bloke rocks in, you know. Like before this test, Anderson and Root have been rolling their eyes with the same drama as cheese at a downhill cheese chasing competition.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
You know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they're chasing that
exactly
cheese down, mate. That's the intensity with which Anderson and Root have been rolling their eyes. And roll your eyes no longer, boys, because Milan's here, making his clean, contributive 70 runs. He actually plays shots. I haven't seen an English top three player play shots for a very long time.
I was very skeptical about it. Didn't know what it meant. If I could look at the score, like you look at a scoreboard, Pez, Burns 61, Hamid 68, Milan AC 70, Root 121. Those are just numbers where you're like, I'm safe. I feel safe all of a sudden.
So safe.
That is
Didn't
runs in
expect
the
it.
bank. Cash in those chips and the checks.
Mate, Milan is like he's like a kid from another school. He's an outsider who's just turned up to school and he's straight into the in group. Straight in. You know, and all these kids, like, I've been wanting to be mates with Root and Anderson for a long time, but I haven't really done enough in Milan. Bang, straight in the in group, going into all the parties, getting all the girls. All boys, it's 2021, doesn't really matter. The point is, he's promiscuous and he picks up.
Shut up, NASA. You didn't know. You don't know. All right, Pez. I want to. My second thing I want to talk about, and it might be a little bit harsh, but I feel like India at the moment, which does lead into my third thing, but just stick with the second thing, okay? India all over the shop. Now, I thought they bowled well in the first session. I think they only conceded 60-something runs. They got a couple of wickets. I suppose in many ways England were just hanging in because if India were going to come back into the game, that was India's chance to blow England away in that first session. They also take 5 wickets in the last session. But they've just sort of come up against this guy, this fucking England number 4, who is just in absolute worldy territory, like best form anyone's ever seen kind of gear. But I thought Siraj was off the pace, and Ishant Sharma, I'm surprised he bowled as many overs as he did and it's really bizarre that he bowled the first over of the innings at the end of day one when Sharma and Bumrah are your two mainline quicks, and neither of those bowled the first over. But Sharma going over 4 and over, and I don't know. I thought Bumrah was excellent as he often is. Jadeja okay until Root came in really and sort of swept the fuck out of him. But India at the moment just feel like, the game's gone. So it just feels like India all over the shop all of a sudden.
Yeah, poor old
that
Ishant
harsh?
Sharma. No, I don't think so. But this is where I wanted to get into more of the cosmic effect here. Like,
Please.
Ishant Sharma, no rhythm, just goes to show players aren't robots. You know, like he bowled that first over and it was ordinary, and he seems to have kind of carried that through. I thought the rest of them were okay, actually. But like cricket is kinetic energy, you know, like everything is with England. The energy of the game is with England. Like, have you ever been to an aquatic centre, Higgins, that has like a tide pool?
Yeah.
You know, and you can't go against it. You just get swept up in it. That's this game. And those tide pools, as you know, they're done mechanically. But they actually apes real-world tide pools, he goes. And tides, of course, as you know, they're created by the gravitational pull of the moon and to a lesser extent the sun upon the Earth's oceans. Now, during a new or full moon, both the sun and moon are in line with the Earth. So the combined gravitational effect, as you know, causes extremely high and low tides.
Yeah.
Right? Now, follow this. There was a full moon in the days leading up to this test in Headingley. Okay?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought so.
The Earth and Headingley was ripe for a tide pool. Now, we went the wrong way. We thought it would be 628 for 8 areas from 2002. We got that completely wrong, but there was a tide created. This is obviously the Sturgeon moon. And thankfully for India, the next full... So this is happening because of a full moon, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And thankfully for India, the next full moon isn't until late September, and this series will be over by then. So I think normal service will be resumed. England have... Obviously, as the sort of, having the home comforts and understanding the region, have taken full advantage of the full moon. India is swept up in its tide. Doesn't matter who bowls how or whatever. England are going to win.
Okay.
Done.
It doesn't matter. It was a full moon. They should have seen this coming. Okay, Pez.
Just quickly, like, I think it might be a small mercy for India that the defeat is like such a shellacking that it's kind of like an aberration. Like I haven't noticed like Kohli is laughing on the field. Siraj is smiling. Like they're having fun. Like it's like they sort of know. There's like, oh well, this is this is gone, and this game is now about psychological damage and mini battles heading into the other matches.
I suppose that's what makes a Test series so good, and the reason why people want New Zealand to play longer Test series, because the battle is often in the series itself. But and anyway, I thought it interesting as well. I found the first session, Kohli had like his hands in his pockets for most of the first session. I know it was cold in that first session, but from an Australian point of view, in grade cricket, you'd get fucking bollocked if you had your hands in your pockets standing at first slip. It's just the body language is all wrong. It's weird. Anyway, now third thing, Pez, will this result lead to massive changes for India, obviously? And I don't want to focus that much on India, though, of course, we are doing exactly that, because that does seem to be the story here. But I've got to say as well, mate, fucking no one saw this coming. This is an unbelievable result for England, who are now right back. Like it's just a given now they're going to win the game. They are right back in the Series 2 test to go in a team that is missing 6 first-teamers. I mean, it is fucking incredible what England are doing in this game, because they're going to absolutely... Like we said there was a pumping on the cards. Well, there's a pumping on the cards. This could be an innings defeat for India. Who saw that coming? Now, will this lead to big changes for India?
Yeah, I sort of, I wonder if we're ahead of ourselves just saying like, "Oh, this is game over," though it is, like, because it's a flat track, and and every so often the Indians love a stick, but
true.
It's back-to-back Test matches. So this one ends on the Sunday and the next one starts on Thursday. So you imagine, even for Indian guys who've spent a lot of time in the field, your Ishant Sharmas, etc., you'd imagine that there'd have to be some changes there. Who knows what they're going to do with the Oval or whatnot, but yeah, and then the next innings will be really telling. I mean, you'd have to imagine Pujara's under a lot of pressure. I still suspect that he could fail and they'd pick him again because they trust it. And like when you look at, I think they would just sort of wash their hands of this defeat immediately. I mean, look at what happened in Adelaide. They were all out for 36 and they played amazingly. I mean, look at England in the last game. We thought they were sort of so dramatically beaten and brought to their knees, it'd be hard to come back. I mean, if anything, like Test cricket just shows, and look at Australia at Headingley in 2019. They lost a really dramatic match and came back and won the Nets one. Like, what happens before almost has no bearing on what happens next. So I wouldn't be too worried, if I was India, to be honest. But yeah, like Pujara needs runs, Kohli needs runs. Rishabh hasn't dented the series yet with the bat. I think Ishant Sharma will find it hard to go back to back. And there's R. Ashwin knocking at the door. So I think there'd be some change afoot. There has to be blood at the end of this test. I mean, we know that probably in life. A head must roll if you lose by an innings. Yeah,
for some reason I just think of chopping blocks, which seems extremely grotesque and gratuitous. Yeah. Your head is on a chopping block and it must come off, as opposed to just not being selected in a game of cricket.
You lose your head now.
Yeah.
You failed to execute cricket skills. Your head's gone.
It's interesting in the sense that the Oval is the flattest wicket in England, and so you find Pujara, I'm like, just get me there, just give me one more game. And it's also interesting, Ashwin played for Surrey, obviously the Oval home ground of Surrey, so he'd be a chance as well to play there because he bowled well there as well. Anyway, all right, let's get to hashtag RC2C, Pezzy Lad, brought to you by ACCO. Liam Frille writes in via Patreon. He says, I haven't asked TGC, boys, what the fuck is going on? Is the Indian century already over? Is England suddenly good? Will Dad ever be proud of me? Regards, Liam. Great questions.
Yeah, I'm worried about this premise whereby, because something's been termed the Asian century, and it is the Asian century, I will not resile from that.
Pakistan won.
That they must, exactly, that they must therefore win every single game, that any loss now heralds the end of that century. But he's right, Liam's right, it's over, it's now the English century. Anyone who wins, it's their century. Sale of the century.
I wonder if it can be the Asian century officially when they've had 2 of their 4 ever lowest test scores in the space of 12 months. Something to think about, okay?
The only thing standing in the way of the Asian century is the full moon, as I've explained earlier.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the BCCI's next task will be to schedule games around the full moon, given that they have the run of the schedule and the Future Tours program generally anyway. So it's something for Dada and co to look at. Dad will never be proud of you too, Liam.
That's a great name of industry, Dada and Co. I don't know what they sell, but it's something. I'm investing in it. It's good. All right. Well, let's hope for our view count's sake that someone does something good tomorrow, because we're charging towards 100K subs, and then we're slowing down a bit until the next good thing happens. So let's hope something good happens for our sake. You know,
what are we going to do if we get to 100K? Like, will we throw it away? Or
well, actually, people don't know.
It's actually
no, it's actually the end of the channel. We actually terminate the channel. So
that's a bit close to home.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow right here in the Grade Cricketer for day 3 of this wonderful test match. Cheers.